Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. Um, had about about a 2 hour daily brief with people today. Just sort of freestyle. It's Friday. Let it loose. On the other side of a intense karmic event for myself. As well, too, Ides of March are now behind us. U.S. Feds behind us. Options expiry happening today. Most of the business was done yesterday. We have an EVU today, energy release. So put it all together. Wow, lots of stuff in the hopper. But it does feel as though we're moving on forward. Coming out of Fed announcement days, they always say don't trust the first hour following the Fed announcement. And it turns out that was a trap. Boo, hiss, hiss, boo. And the market melted down following that. But the meltdown actually seems to have stopped. And actually, the one place that the meltdown felt like it stopped first, of course, is sort of our leading indicator in our risk matrix, good old crypto. I mean, hell, you look at the shitcoin index. Top? What top? There's no top here. Tops? We don't need to show you no stinking tops. That doesn't really work. Oh well. The big sort of battle here right now. I get the impression that Jupiter-Saturn cross was indeed a significant pivot for interest rates. And it was also interesting, too, to see that as of January 1st, there was massive selling in, Canadian bonds. So I have a funny feeling that the U.S. Fed had to go in and buy a whole bunch of these countries' bonds to keep them supported through the end of the year last year. And I think their agreement, and I even remember Powell saying, just get us into year-end, just get into year-end, just get into year-end. He kept saying that over and over. So I do believe that something of quite large significance shifted there. Now, interestingly, I don't think the U.S. Federal Reserve has to worry about lower interest rates. I think that trend is over. And we now have to get used to a world of rising interest rates, which, interesting enough, most of you people, you probably never even participated in a market where just the general expectation is higher interest rates going forward, not lower. And I'll tell you, this is what killed the Canadian real estate market in the early 1980s. And I believe it's going to kill this market again today. But we'll see. I also, too, like the idea that the bond market's still pointing lower. And it's interesting that yesterday and even today, there's no bottom here in bonds. There's a little bit of a bounce in the Canadian bond market. I'm keeping a close eye on the Canadian bond market as sort of that international proxy. Because, Powell said before, last crisis, he didn't care about anything outside of the United States of America. And I think that's the case now. And I also think, too, that the Canadians, I don't think they've played their card right very well here. And this current Prime Minister... I've never really been a fan of him anyway. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. So the aftermath of the U.S. Fed, it almost feels like the market's parked. Maybe even like a bull flag, maybe potentially forming here. Probably your easiest direction, especially with things like gold, is just simply we're in a trading range now for the U.S. dollar that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 trading sessions old. And really, you might even argue that this trading range started here as we blasted out of this range, and we've just been oscillating in this range now. And your cues in the gold and probably risk on, risk off is all about who wins this battle here. And it looks like the bulls are trying to wake up and take over here, right? And if anything, I was worried that through that legislation pass, there would be a big meltdown in U.S. dollars. But I get the impression that things are actually pretty bad overseas. I was reading news articles to the effect that Europe is, is this wave 3? I know in Canada here locally, cases are just jackknifing. Biggest province in this country is declaring basically lockdown again. So we're not anywhere near the end of this nightmare. So, goodness. Just actually, it was interesting. My son, because he's special needs, he just got the vaccine. They were given a bit of priority, which I think makes sense because special needs kids, they do really, really badly with this COVID. So, if anything, I'm kind of thankful that Liam did get jabbed. The only issue there, though, of course, is it gives you a little bit of the sickness. So now he has a little bit of this sickness and he feels like crap. And of course, Liam doesn't speak. Everything comes out in behavior. So lots of new holes in the walls. Oh, goodness. But anybody who deals with ASD, especially nonverbal ASD, you know what we're going through. So your empathy, of course, is always greatly appreciated. And actually, I love on the weekends when you guys, after I do the video, you wish me luck with Liam. I love that. That touches my heart immensely. So thank you. The one market that really does have me sort of scratching my head thinking that 1 year coast to coast, the end of this sort of push higher in asset prices into that 1 year anniversary is the crude oil market, because gee whiz, that sure is one hell of a well-defined M there. You don't actually really get such well-defined structural patterns in the market every day. You can see, I mean, that's sort of an M, but look how that's highs like quite a bit lower than that. But this, man, that was up, down, up, break. Unfortunately, though, this did leave a lot of gaps on the chart. So, if we were just drawing simple trend line analysis, this is a tough one because actually, I know this is a pain in the butt. I'm one of these sort of trend line purists, so I would actually say that's your primary trend. Interesting how we're Wing on the other side of that. And then your secondary trend line, I would draw it like this. So really, there's your trading range for the next little while. And this level here is probably things like reload zones, against these key highs. So on the daily charts, there are some interesting gaps up top here. So my hunch is that this market has topped, but we could very easily see nice counter trend rallies right back up into resistance. And it would be at this point that I would be asking, okay, is this thing really breaking down, or was it all just BS and another leg higher? So we'll see how that goes over time. And that should, like we say, we had a big quadruple witching today, and most of the options business is actually done the day before the options expire. So, we saw a pretty precipitous drop in the stock market through yesterday. I was also sort of telling people that something internationally happened that I don't think the market was expecting, in that the Americans and the Chinese got together for sort of a initial meeting of Mr. Biden's presidential team and the Chinese up in Alaska, and it did not go well at all. And the rhetoric was sort of like, human rights, political rights, freedom of speech, get the fuck out of Hong Kong, leave them alone, leave Taiwan alone, leave all the South Asian Pacific countries alone. We've talked to Japan, we've talked to Korea, we're going to backstop them. And then the Chinese just came instantly back with, stop your U.S. hegemony. Why the fuck is China still pegged to the U.S. dollar, fuckers? Why would they say U.S. hegemony if their currency is pegged to the U.S. dollar? What the fuck's up with that? So why bring that up? And then they say, well, U.S. uses its military to project its power across the world. Yeah, you're right. That's totally valid. But what I heard last night is it basically just turned into a shouting match. So, oh boy, trouble. And I got a funny feeling that the stock market kind of sniffed that out a little bit. I also think, too, that There was actually, Wall Street had a huge incentive to get this market up around this 4,000 strike into today, and it looks like they've failed. So, interesting though, if you actually look at the VIX, Wall Street is long a ton of VIX coming out of Wednesday's options expiry. So, I think ideally the home run trade would have been they got those fills up top there, but it doesn't look like they're going to get that off. I can't see this thing coming back in the next, 2 hours. I can't see it, but maybe. Who knows? So this has me sort of scratching my head a little bit. They always say higher highs and higher lows is, defines a bull. Could maybe some of that rhetoric that came out of Alaska, could it have been staged? Who fucking knows in this crazy world? And that was to make damn sure that the political opponents of Mr. Biden, things like Goldman Sachs and stuff, who actually wrote these options, they don't get paid. Could this have all been a political ploy? I don't know. But I'll tell you, you don't want to hear the two superpowers in the world going at it. That's not conducive to a risk-on environment. So I wonder whether some of this had to do with that as well. Tough to say. If oil has broken in earnest, then we should see the gold come back. And of course, if we're thinking about going to war, what often happens is you actually get like a bidding up of these fear assets. And then, once the bullets fly, the money will just come clearly out of the market and it'll just go running straight into the US dollar and into US government bonds. That's assuming that the market believes that the U.S. is going to win. I don't know. My hunch is that China is playing with fire if they actually think they can pick a fight with the United States and win. But we'll see how it goes. I think you can sort of see that kind of concern in the market coming out of the small caps. We're not really banging out any doubles, although a couple of the site members did really well today. SNES, I think, was a huge winner for some of the gang. Jamie, who's sort of our one of our OGs that does fantastic analysis that comes on the site and talks to the community about some of the findings that he's had. One of his stocks, it's so beautiful working with FA guys because, good fundamental stories. I suppose like this Kusama. There's worries in the world. You wouldn't know it looking at that damn thing. But what's it? Super League Gaming, SLGG. Look at that chart. The irony of it all, long Kusama and crypto or long Super League Gaming. There's always a bull somewhere. Way to go, Jamie, if you do watch this. Beautiful, beautiful trading. And, because this has got such powerful fundamental drivers behind it, it kind of is immune to this kind of choppy, are we going to have to come off here? Because they're just killing it on the earnings. There's no choice. I put out a tweet a week or so ago saying this thing is rallying in the face of anything. It doesn't matter. It's just the FA is just too good. So nice pick there, Jamie. You rule. But I would say the vast majority of the broader market is actually pretty malaise. S&P, Dow's actually down. NASDAQ, look at that. NASDAQ's trying to W out here. We might see a late surge coming out of tech, and then there's your bonds. Still heading lower, down. Do you find it interesting that, as, big S&P and Dow names coming off, crypto kind of just like, so what? We've heard this story before. You guys were all crooks, so we're just going to go do our thing. The problem here is I love pitching the FA story when Bitcoin's trading at or near the cost of production. Oh my God. Great story. Perfect story. Easy sell. 21 million out. Right? Supposed to be your sort of your hedging vehicle. Right? Digital gold. The only problem here is that what? $58,000 a coin? This thing's getting expensive. There are some institutional players that have told you that they have very large positions from about $25,000. I still think that's a bit of a high price. If we use the same logic, cost of production, halvening, all that kind of stuff, I would actually expect this thing to probably be trading back down somewhere around, 10, 15,000 bucks. Probably, latter part of 2023, maybe somewhere in that area. And then the next halvening, they'll set a base, then they'll rally it into the halvening. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the current cost of production is somewhere between about 5 and 10,000, and then the next one that'll jump to like 6 to 12,000. So that'll justify that $10,000 base. That's exactly what happened the last cycle. Why would it be any different here? So of course everybody's going to say this time it's different. Okay, sure. While this thing has a head of steam behind it, and the momentum is really strong, and I don't think it's in anybody's best interest to call tops. It's just dangerous. It's dangerous for your pocketbook. It's dangerous for your social media standing, I suppose. And just, roll with the punches. I suppose you could argue that there was a bit of a consolidation in here, which could have set up trades. There's a bit of a consolidation in here, which could have set up trades. And, gee whiz, looks like there's a bit of a consolidation here that could set up trades. So those traders, keep you honest. Like, I hope you realize how much risk is involved in this asset. This is insanely risky. There's your 200 period moving average. Keep you honest indicator down there at $26,000. So just be forewarned. But I had on a bunch. Where the hell are they? Where are the Bitcoin charts? Well, not on. I guess this is it. So that last consolidation, that's sort of this little setup here. And of course, that last consolidation also was a bot setup. So there's a couple different ways to play this. Off of this consolidation, I thought this was really interesting, is from here to here. If you draw bot levels, 33, 66, one low, two lows, a third low. Could you call this a low because that makes like a head and shoulders pattern off of that bot level? It's up to you as a maturation as a trader. Point of the matter here is we ran up. Remember we said Fed kind of head fake, maybe a little bit BS. The stock market came off. Like I said, was that a function of the Fed, or was that maybe a function of what happened there in Alaska? Could you make the argument that maybe after the Fed they wanted to work the market down, and then this actually reversal, which came in yesterday afternoon, evening, which is when that sort of the shit hit the fan in Alaska. That's when that meeting happened. I got a funny feeling the Bitcoiners and the people who are using this as sort of their sort of fear proxy in the marketplace, they liked what they saw. They're like, all right, yeah, more controversy, jazz. These guys are going to go to war. Fucking A. Right? More fear, more anxiety, and boom, back up we go. If I was prop trading and I was sort of like, Brian, you're here to trade, you better take a trade. Well, I'd probably be long that bot and work these levels and just live with the results. Is this something that I'm interested in doing here right now? Nah. I mean, I'm having way too much fun going and shopping things like shitcoins right at the bottom end of their ranges and looking for like 5x, 10x on those kind of names. I did prop trading for a while. I did day trading. It's not really my thing anymore. It's way too... in my opinion, I think there's easier ways to make money in the market. But, there's a trade if you want to be in it and you want to make money from trading. It's a perfectly valid setup, and it's doing its thing. And you can see how we had this conversation about a week ago. It's just working away, doing its thing. And these I guess both of these are projecting up into that sort of high 60, low 70 area. And we've got 127s at 67, 144.5s up at 72. I actually think, believe it or not, if this market really gets going, and maybe, I don't know, the Chinese like do something stupid like, actually, I don't know, hell, they might sink a ship in the South China Seas, sink an American ship. They might do a really, really low flyover over Taiwan just to piss everybody off there. They might go and do some saber rattling with the Indians in the Himalayas. Maybe they'll come out and they publicly execute 1,000 Uyghurs. I can't remember what they're called. Just because they, in their, in the Quran, it says you're specifically supposed to like Winnie the Pooh. And you know who doesn't like Winnie the Pooh. Anyway, point of the matter here is I think the Bulls got the ball right now. And I also see a lot of sort of pressure on the DeFi space. Every once in a while, we get one of these little sort of, ooh, is this a scandal that's going to rock this thing? And then it sort of cleans itself up and then starts to climb the wall of worry again, and boom, up to new highs. So, these little ones, I tell you, man, it's incredible to watch this action. But if there was some place in the market that I'd want to have fun in crypto, it's definitely these guys. Just some of these stories are insane. I don't know whether I've seen any cool new breakouts here, but, here's an example. You can be in Bitcoin, but in the time that Bitcoin was like maybe, I don't know, well, just even here, that's $6. That's like a 3 or 4-fold increase just since March, the 1st of March. This is where I think the money's to be made is these individual stories. I got to tell you, man, the crypto kids on the site are just having a blast here. So go shopping, have some fun. I think, this is the type of the market that I think really appeals to these names. And of course, same thing on your DeFi. Look at this Kasama. I still don't understand what the hell these guys do, which makes them so special. But holy shit, that's a bull market if I've ever seen one. And I see a lot of this, right? These names that have been dormant for like a year or two while crypto's sort of cleaning itself up. They're coming to life, and it's like they're quickly repricing themselves right back up to the top ends of their ranges. I know there's a few people on the site that were jazzed about Algo, so that one's looking interesting. So keep an eye on that. There was a fun little one, this little one here that I strapped on. I even FOMO'd a bit here and added to the trade at 120 or so, somewhere in there. Made a new high there yesterday. Could this thing crank higher? Look at that momentum. Look at the volume. Look at that RSIW. Holy Jesus. Man, it feels as though as long as the sickness is still rampant, which it is, that's a fact, then the grown-ups of the world are going to be preoccupied with just keeping things going. Which means, in my eyes, they're going to overlook, I don't know, what would we call it? Pockets of sort of anomalous behavior. And I believe crypto is one of those pockets. We say there's always a bull somewhere, where it could actually take advantage of this window. There's so much funny money, so much free money just floating around. There's people just sitting at home. They're not doing anything. And they got the computers on. And I'm even hearing now on local radio stations here in Vancouver, they're advertising, hey, did you know what a Satoshi is? I was like, oh, God, here comes the mass public. So if we go into another massive lockdown, like I said, Paris, they just announced they're shutting that place down. So, you might find that, brick and mortar kind of companies, they go back into the pooper. And then all of these sort of online proxies and crypto and stuff like that, they get tons of money thrown at them as we go through another one of these lockdowns. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. We got the corn pointing higher. I don't know whether ETH is pointing higher. You'd really like to see ETH just punch up through the top there, but you can kind of see it looks like it's at one hell of an inflection point. If we crap out and lose these and start closing below there, then I think you can start thinking about 200 SMAs. But I don't think that's going to happen. It just doesn't feel like it. Feels like we could probably head into a weekend of crypto orgy here. So get ready, people. And, I mean, I showed you, Russell 2000, S&P. Look at all this green. I mean, there's green everywhere here. So get ready. Oh, look at that one. Nice little W. There's probably a nice bot there. They're just everywhere. So have some fun in crypto land, folks. This is your time to shine. Make hay while the sun's shining. I think that's my report. We'll check in with you guys on Sunday. We'll see how you're doing then. If you feel like popping on the site, we do a 30-day trial. And, of course, if you want to try and set yourself up for success, maybe even consider joining our spring term for the school. May is not that far away. Okay, everybody, I think I'm going to leave it at that. Good luck. PMA for the win. All the best. And bye for now.